Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right. We're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Mom, have you seen my cheeseburger poppet? Asked Levi as he searched through his playroom. I don't think I've seen that one, but I have seen your soccer ball poppet, your race car poppet, your spaceship poppet, and your smiley face poppet. Will any of those do? Answered Levi's mom. Nope, I really just need the cheeseburger one. It makes the best pop sound, replied Levi as he continued his search. Maybe you should check with Ivy, suggested his mom. So that's exactly what he did. And as soon as he walked into Ivy's room, he found what he was looking for. Sitting on top of all of her other fidgets, in an overflowing toy box filled with every type of fidget you could ever imagine, sat Levi's cheeseburger poppet. It was pretty obvious that both Levi and Ivy were huge fans of fidgets. Levi grabbed his cheeseburger and popped in its little circles in and out a few times, giving a sigh of relief that he had found it and it was still in perfect working order. Ivy, please don't take my fidgets without asking, said Levi. Sorry, I didn't even think you'd notice it was gone because you have so many poppets. Not to mention every other fidget toy ever made, said Ivy as she played on her floor with a squishy unicorn fidget. And she was right. Levi's fidget collection was probably even bigger than hers. He had stress balls, infinity cubes, stretchy noodles, putty, fidget rings, fidget spinners, and the list went on and on. Ivy had her own giant collection too, and with both of them collecting fidgets all the time, the house was getting a little overrun with the shiny toys. Squishy fidgets filled with gooey gel and colorful beads would be found in every room. Poppets shaped like anything you could imagine were always lying around on the floor. And under the cushions were so many little handheld toys that clicked, clacked, and spun you could hardly sit down. While fidgets were a great tool to help their kids focus and regulate their energy, Levi and Ivy's parents were getting a little worried that the toys were taking too much of their kids' attention. In a short period of time, they had both developed quite the collection of fidgets, and it started to be the only thing they were interested in. Often, Levi and Ivy could be found sitting in their playroom, bedroom, or even in the backyard, just squishing, spinning, and popping fidgets. And when their parents would try and talk to them, they noticed they got no response. Instead, their kids would sit in silence, focusing only on the constant repetition of their fidgets. With Halloween just around the corner, Levi and Ivy's parents knew they were just going to get more fidgets and goodie bags at school parties and from trick-or-treating on Halloween night. We really need to have them focus on something other than fidgets, said Levi and Ivy's mom to their dad. I know, he replied. Sometimes I'll be talking to them and I don't even know that they have a fidget in their hand because they're so small and quiet, but I can tell they're not paying attention to me. That's when I take a closer look, and there it is, some gel-filled, gooey, crunchy, cracky, poppy, stretchy fidget. It's like they're turning into little fidget zombies, laughed Levi and Ivy's mom, not thinking too much more of it. We need to make sure that they know there's a time and a place for fidgets, and if they can't use them without being totally distracted, we'll have to take them away for a little while. The day went on, and Levi and Ivy's dad was trying to get some work done. He walked out of his office and mentioned that he was having trouble focusing and was getting a headache. Levi and Ivy were sorting and trading fidgets in the living room, as they often did, and overheard what their dad said. Dad, why don't you try a fidget toy? Suggested Levi. It'll help your headache. And they're fun too, added Ivy. Feeling like he wanted to get a little break from work and hang out with his kids, he agreed and sat down to try out a fidget. Levi handed his dad a dinosaur gel squishy and watched as he squeezed it once, then twice, then over and over again. Oh, wow, this really is fun. And I think my headache is going away too, said Levi's dad. He then sat down on the couch next to Levi and Ivy and squeezed and squished the blue dinosaur over and over again. Levi grabbed his favorite fidget cube while Ivy chose a bright purple stretchy noodle to play with. Then they all sat next to each other playing with the fidgets, but not interacting at all. Just then, Levi and Ivy's mom walked into the room. Oh no, they've got you doing it too, she said, sounding frustrated as she watched Levi, Ivy, and their dad lost in a world of fidgets. Can you even hear me over all that popping and squishing? The only response from Levi, Ivy, and their dad was a grunt of acknowledgement as they grabbed more fidgets and kept playing. I wish it was nicer outside so I could get all of you out there and away from these fidget toys. But with this thunderstorm rolling in, it looks like you'll be inside all day, said Levi and Ivy's mom. My 3 little fidget zombies. Then she walked out of the room, leaving Levi, Ivy, and their dad sitting in silence, except for the dull, continuous sound of pops, clicks, and squishes. The thunderstorm continued outside with heavy rain and lightning, and as the weather got worse, so did the fidget situation inside. Levi and Ivy and their dad were acting strange, only making low, grumbling noises and playing with their fidget after fidget. Then out of nowhere, a big crack of lightning and a loud rumble of thunder shook the house and the lights went out. Levi and Ivy's mom ran back into the living room to check on the kids, knowing they always got a little bit scared in thunderstorms. But as she stepped into the room, the lights came back on, and what she found was far from scared kids. What's going on here? Exclaimed Levi and Ivy's mom, staring at her kids and their dad. You're real fidget zombies? And unfortunately, she was right. Sitting on the couch, still playing with fidget toys, were her kids and her husband, and they looked totally different. Their skin was a dullish green color. They had dark circles under their eyes, and they stared at their fidgets completely motionless, except for their hands. Their hands and fingers moved quickly as they continued to squish, stretch, and pop the tiny toys. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I need to change these zombies back into my family, said Levi and Ivy's mom, sounding a little more than worried. I know, I need to take their fidgets away. Then maybe they'll snap out of it. That's when Levi and Ivy's mom grabbed the empty fidget container on the floor and started filling it with every fidget she could find. Levi and Ivy and their dad weren't happy, but they were so tired from all their fidget playing that they just sat there as she grabbed the last poppet and tossed it in the container. I'm doing this for your own good, she said as she turned to walk out of the living room. Without your fidgets, you'll be able to focus on playing with each other, and before you know it, you'll forget all about these toys. Then as Levi and Ivy's mom left the room, she looked down at the fidget container, feeling proud and confident with her decision. Except the container was no longer filled with fidgets. It was completely empty. That's when she turned around to see all the fidgets back on the couch with their kids and their dad. They all grumbled happily as they played with their toys. Oh, great. They're not just fidget zombies. They're fidget zombies with magical powers? Fantastic, said Levi and Ivy's mom with a sigh. Call it a hunch, but I think this big storm right near Halloween has something to do with it. Since her plan of taking away their fidgets failed, Levi and Ivy's mom sat in the kitchen thinking of another way to get her family back. Just when she thought she had run out of ideas, she caught a glimpse of the Halloween candy bowl. That's it, she said to herself. Zombies or not, everyone loves a sweet treat. If I can distract them with the candy, maybe I can take those fidgets again and hide them so they can't use their magical powers to get them back. And since this all started when the storm hit, I think if I can just keep them away from fidgets until it passes, then they'll turn back into their usual selves. Since she was running out of ideas, Levi and Ivy's mom decided to give it a try. So with the Halloween treat bowl in hand, she walked into the living room. Candy! Who wants some yummy candy? She called out. Levi and Ivy and their dad did indeed look up from their fidget toys at the mention of candy. But as they did, Levi and Ivy's mom noticed that all that sitting around and fidget playing was making them all very, very tired. They yawned and groaned and tried very hard to keep their eyes open so they could keep fidgeting and have some candy. That's when Levi and Ivy's mom made a little change to her plan. She would lead them into her bedroom with the candy, because tired or not, she knew the kids and their dad were always up for some candy. Then once they were in the bedroom, she would play some lullaby music to get them to fall asleep. She figured as long as they weren't playing with fidgets, they'd have a chance at changing back once the storm passed. So she called out to her family again, Candy, tasty candy this way. They dropped their fidgets as they stood up and followed her into their bedroom. She dropped the candy bowl on the bed, turned on some lullaby music, and ran out of the room, closing the bedroom door behind her. She listened closely at the door as one by one she heard each of their little zombies falling onto the bed and drifting off to dreamland. I did it! Well, at least I think I did. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, said Levi and Ivy's mom as she sat down in the living room surrounded by fidget toys. And while she waited to see if the storm passing would change her family back from being fidget zombies, she started to pick up their messes once again. But as she did, she popped a few poppets, stretched a couple of the stretchy noodles, and squeezed a bunch of gel squishies. And before she knew it, she was lost in a world of fidget toys. Thankfully for her, the storm passed quickly and her family woke up. Levi and Ivy were the first ones out of the bedroom, well-rested, back to normal, and totally clueless about turning into fidget zombies. So when they walked into the living room, they were completely surprised by what they saw. "Mom, what are you doing?" laughed Ivy as she watched her mom playing with all their fidget toys. But Levi and Ivy's mom was so lost in all the stretching, popping, crunching, and squeezing fun, she didn't even look up at her kids. "Hey, Mom, can you even hear us?" asked Levi, sounding just like his mom. "It looks like you're a fidget zombie." Hearing those words was just enough to shake Levi and Ivy's mom out of her fidget daze, as she jumped to her feet and dropped the fidget toys she was holding. "No way, I'm not turning into a fidget zombie," exclaimed Levi and Ivy's mom. "Whoa, calm down. I was just kidding," said Levi. "You know that there's no such thing as a fidget zombie, right? It's Halloween time. I was just being silly." Levi and Ivy's mom then took a deep breath and started to laugh. She gave her kids a big hug and then suggested they take a break from their fidgets and go outside. "Kids, fidgets are great and can be really helpful at times, but just like all the things we need to make sure we're not overusing them," said Levi and Ivy's mom. "I think you both know that you were using them a bit too much, and it was affecting the way you were interacting with each other, and even your dad and I." Levi and Ivy thought about it for a second and knew their mom was right. As they left their fidgets behind and walked outside, their dad was up and finally joined them. Still a little sleepy, he stumbled toward them and asked about fidgets, totally unaware, just like Levi and Ivy, of what happened to them earlier in the day.
"Ah, fidget zombie!"
yelled Levi and Ivy, laughing as they playfully ran outside. "There's no such thing as a fidget zombie, right?" Levi and Ivy's dad asked his wife, looking a little confused. That's when she just shrugged her shoulders and walked outside. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.